I came to Hollywood as a young girl in the 7th grade, attending Mancroft Junior High, and then spent just one semester at Hollywood High before everything began to shift. I used to wake up every morning in Carson, California, get myself dressed, make my mama some coffee, and she would take me to the bus stop so I could go to school. Back then, I was just a little girl with a big dream. But growing up in Hollywood made those dreams feel close enough to touch.
Brandy's memoirs have stirred up so much controversy. What I find most fascinating about this conversation is not that Brandy Norwood is speaking on her past. It's how quickly people reveal their own psychological conditioning when they hear the word grooming. Because somehow a woman in her 40s reflecting on a relationship she experienced as a teenager is being treated as if she is rewriting history instead of simply naming it. And when that happens, the real question is no longer about her story. It becomes, why does the truth make you so damn uncomfortable? Muffin, today we'll be breaking down the psychology of these old hoes and how come they have a problem with seeing teenage Black girls as victims of adult males. I'm Nylah Says, and this isn't just a gossip channel. Over here, we analyze, we contextualize, and we weaponize wisdom. Because gossip is entertainment, but understanding is power. Because every scandal has a lesson. So let's get to it. So let's go ahead and get into what the psychology is behind this mindset. Some older women raised in environments where girls, especially Black girls, were not protected, but we were absolutely policed. So when they witnessed or even thought that an older man was sniffing up and behind a young girl, that's a phrase that they used to say back in the day, they would say stuff like, what does she have on? She's fast. She's built like an adult woman anyway. That's why he does it. They literally reach for something automatically to police the girls because they believe that men have a certain behavior and that women and girls are responsible for managing men's behavior. And most of this responsibility that they put on young girls and women sometime when it comes to managing male behavior is the girls, it's always at their expense. They're literally told that they're fast. It's what they have on, it's what they're saying, it's what they're doing. I've even heard situations where something as simple as a girl jumping rope was looked at as sexual by a man and blamed on the girl. But anyway, let's get into it because unfortunately, we still have women in this day and age that are ignoring that grooming happens, ignoring that situations like with R. Kelly and many other men are glossed over in our community. Those men are celebrated. They openly will say stuff like, well, the girls knew what they were doing. If the parents thought it was okay, why should we be mad? You know, the whole free R. Kelly trope. And so I'm about to play a video for you guys. And this is one of these male identified mammies. And her psychology is on full display. Trigger warning for people that are sensitive to these issues. This girl is a mess.
Okay, so I want to talk about this Brandy and Wanya thing because now we about to open up something that I don't think y'all ready to talk about, okay? Or be honest about. Now, when I was young, I did not think, when people like, music is an influence on shit. But now that I'm big grown, I've realized music is a big influence on the culture, the community, and everything around us, okay? It always baffles me how we could prosecute 16s and 17-year-olds as adults in the criminal justice system, but now y'all say that we're not competent enough at 16 or 17 to make decisions over our body, which is bullshit. Because when I was 16, I knew exactly what I was doing with my cat and who I wanted to give it to. And honestly, nobody had to groom me into anything. Now, for those of y'all who keep saying Brandy, she was young and she was manipulated and she was too young, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me, Lonely Broken Hearted goes like this. I'm young, but I'm wise enough to know that you don't fall in love overnight. And your maturity level is really honestly based on how you was raised. Or if you had to grow up fast and you jumped off the porch early where you had to take care of yourself, like, yes, you feel as though you're a 16-year-old in a 21 or 22-year-old's body. And think about it. You could be emancipated at 16 years old. Which means what? You're an adult. You're old enough to take care of yourself. There were lots of 16-year-olds that were taking care of whole fucking families. Because I hate when bitches get older and then they try to act like, oh my God, somebody made me do that. No, bitch, you did it. I mean, you might see the wrong in it now, but you did it. And you knew what you was doing when you did it. Because we not about to sit here and act like one of Keith Sweat's biggest hits, one of our favorite songs from him, you may be young, but you're ready to learn. You're not a little girl, you're a woman. I mean, you're not going to tell me that's not a grooming song. That's the songs that, and if you go back and you listen to a lot of them songs, a lot of them are basically talking about they don't put an age on it, but they definitely put the word. And they always piss me off with Brandy and this good girl fucking image. Remember, they lied about her being married when she got pregnant to save face. And her mama, Miss Sonia, was around. And so I'm sure Miss Sonia knew as well what was going on. Okay? So let's not act like the parents was oblivious to shit. Just like Aaliyah's parents with R. Kelly.
Baby, I am trying not to be disrespectful. I am trying to use my words better and, be professional and deliver this psychological breakdown. However, I have really short patience for hood boogers, especially ones that sound like this. So instead of evaluating the situation through a moral or psychological lens, she literally just removed any vulnerability that teenage girls should have when dealing with the dynamics between an adult male and someone that is growing, still going through puberty, and still trying to understand life. The bottom line is this. A lot of these old hoes view these young girls as their competition. They view the attention from men as currency, and they view that as power, okay? And looking at another person, in quotes, having power disturbs them, especially as they age. Now, let's get into the part of this conversation that people don't like to unpack, but they absolutely need to. Because whenever a situation involves a grown-ass man and a teenage girl, there is always a group of people, very confident, very loud, who say shit like, she knew what she was doing, she wasn't innocent, and girls mature faster. So let's go ahead and break down the psychology of this. Because a lot of old bitches see this as something that is familiar. They're used to it. They've seen it all their lives. And honestly, a lot of us that are a little bit older, and I'm talking about my 50 plus girlies, y'all think that everything that your great grandma went through, everything that she did, everything that she co-signed was right. And it just wasn't. She might not have been wrong about everything, but she wasn't right about everything either. And some of the things that she was right about it because it was in her era. It's not the same game. It shouldn't have been okay back then, but it's definitely not okay now for these adult males to be preying on girls that are younger than them. Because what happens is when something has been normalized long enough, people stop questioning it. And in our communities, to me, it's even worse because for whatever reason, we need to appear like we're the outliers of everything. And in that, it's like whenever a celebrity male, especially if you like him, if he is being charged with this, and I don't mean like literally charged from the police, but like people are calling him out on messing with young girls or something like that, it literally is, they just trying to bring a black man down, and this is why black men don't have a good image and all that kind of stuff. And like, as much as we have the highest rates of molestation in our communities, a very unreported crime, how do you think that's landing on the ears of girls that are not only suffering through this currently, but have been through it already? But actually, a lot of women who speak this way are not speaking from theory. They're speaking from experience. But instead of processing these experiences as violations, they reframe them as choices, because calling it what it was would require them to process their own past. So it becomes easier to say, I knew what I was doing. It's easier to say that for them than to admit that they were taken advantage of. There is also a very specific dynamic that happens with young black girls. We're often perceived as older, more mature, and more aware than we actually are. And that means that we are held to adult standards while still being children. So when something inappropriate happens, we are not given the benefit of innocence. Instead, we're given the burden of responsibility. And that is not maturity. That is mislabeling. Another issue is that people define these situations based on behavior instead of power. They'll say, well, she went along with it. She didn't say no. She's just now saying something. But grooming is not about resistance. It's about conditioning. It's about access, influence, emotional manipulation, and gradual boundary shifts. So when people use a girl's participation as proof, they're actually describing how power works, not disproving it. And finally, we have to address something that people do not like to admit. When people blame girls in these situations, they are not just reacting to the situation, they are protecting a belief system, a system where men's behavior is expected, girls are responsible for managing it, and accountability is optional depending on who you are. So instead of questioning the man, they question the girl. So when you hear someone say, she knew what she was doing, please understand that that statement is not insight. It's conditioning and it's normalization. And in many cases, it's unprocessed trauma speaking out loud, because a child navigating adult behavior is not power. That is exposure.
And obviously, at a point in time, you guys were like the biggest group, you know, that was out. And you had a celebrity relationship. Were you the only one that was ever involved with a celebrity?
Who was he dating?
Wanya was banging Brandy.
Brandy.
He left you lonely, brokenhearted.
No, I didn't actually leave alone.
He was teaching Ray J how to do videos.
You told Ray J how to do the same.
That's why they called you Squirt.
That's what I was thinking.
That's why they called Squirt.
I mean, Brandy even said to her behind the music that you broke her heart because you fell in love with somebody else.
I mean, you only fall in love with somebody. You only fall out of love with somebody else if somebody makes you fall out of love. Mm-hmm. You know, so if that was the situation, if that's what she said, then
that's political. I like that.
I can't contest to her view about it. I can just only live by my view.
Revolt, revolt.
They were saying she was really young when y'all dated.
Yeah, she was. Not that young. Not getting. No, that's what I'm saying. Hold on, but you know that's why. But that's why I stopped it. Hold on, but that's why I stopped it and said that she wasn't that young, because I don't want y'all to think Boys to Men was no.
I was young too.
She said she was 15 and she had to keep it a secret because she was so young.
See, we did the thing. We did the thing when she was like 16, 17, around that time, you know.
So you were still a boy too.
I wasn't old. I wasn't like 38 years old, nothing like that. I was old enough to. She was old enough to get it.
Okay. And if you like my commentary, please click like, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't like it, you can still comment, you can still subscribe, because you're bound to return and find something that will entertain you or be of intellectual benefit. Baby, don't forget to hit that notification bell, okay? Because you don't want to miss our live streams, honey.